Joy News Prime.
Thank you for joining us on Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi-TV from wherever you're watching in the world. This is Ghana's most comprehensive 2 hours of television news, and my name is Israel. Coming up, more chaos at headquarters of New Patriotic Party as the General Secretary is heckled and his vehicle damaged. The party has condemned the attack and offered to pay for the repair of the vehicle. But that's just half of the party's woes. Emergency power barge with the capacity to generate 225 megawatts of electricity en route to Ghana from Turkey to help address Ghana's energy crisis. But experts say the intervention is coming too late in the day. Parliamentarians return from recess to take up new offices in the iconic Job 600 building.
And in business, former Finance Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo calls for strict enforcement of fiscal laws to check persistent overruns of various governments.
Abigail Adumakunchi will be here with the business news in just about 30 minutes. And then the current FDA alert over palm oil has implications for some popular Ghanaian dishes. We'll tell you all about that. In the second hour of this bulletin, we'll bring you entertainment, sports, and the feedback segment where we read your messages from social media. This bulletin is also available across Europe on ABN television. Stay tuned. Now, very first story. Parliament reconvened on Tuesday after a 3-month recess with a call by the Speaker on MPs to reevaluate their relationships with the Ghanaian electorate. Speaker Dua Jaho expressed concern about the public perception of the House and its members. Mr. Jaho is alarmed by what he described as unsavory comments made about members of Parliament. He announced the establishment of an independent scrutiny office to assist the MPs.
This House will be required to, among other important parliamentary business, consider the 2016 budget and financial policy of government, as well as the appropriation bill. Having regard to the paucity of time at our disposal, I will entreat honourable members to attend upon the business of the House with punctuality and seriousness, both at plenary and in committee, to facilitate consideration of program business. Honourable members are aware that in recent times, the House has been at the receiving end of uncomplimentary public remarks, which has the potential to impair the image of Parliament. It is unfortunate that these comments are coming in at a time when Parliament has rather opened its doors to the public so as to even more respond to the needs of the citizens. Although honourable members may be disappointed at the current state of affairs, I will appeal to you to consider this development as an invitation to undertake some introspection regarding the effectiveness of your engagement with the public and other stakeholders to prevent such attacks on the House in the future. Honourable members, during the recess, I received the report of the Technical Committee appointed to undertake preparatory work towards the review of the standing orders of the House. I take this opportunity to thank honourable members of the Technical Committee for the several hours they put in to generate proposals for the review. I also take liberty to express the sincere gratitude of this House to Star Ghana for their generous sponsorship of the work of the Technical Committee. A meeting of the Standing Orders Committee will soon be convened to give consideration to proposal for the review and amendment of some of the rules of this House and the appropriate report submitted to the House for consideration and adoption.
Some members of Parliament have meanwhile started moving into the new Job 600 office complex. Construction of the building started under the nation's first President Kwame Nkrumah. It was stalled for several decades until the Mills administration decided to take it up again for use as office accommodation for lawmakers. Elton John Brobe visited the new facility.
We are now within the premises of Job 600, which is to serve as office complex for members of Parliament I'm sure you are aware, this building was started in 1965, was going to serve as conference grounds for an AU meeting by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Now, after so many postponements, finally, members of parliament will have access to their offices. And today, we are privileged to be within the premises. The deputy ranking member on the Works and Housing Committee, Justice Joe Appiah.
All members of parliament should get good offices. As lawmakers, we have to get good offices to do good business for the country. Enacting laws means concentration. Get an office, well equipped so that you can get communication, you can get access to quality information, so that you can be able to address with the facts to, enacting good laws for the country. As a member of parliament, I'm very happy. The place is a very neat place, and really it gives a lot of sense that MPs will no more do business in their car boots. So I share this office with my colleague Amakun Atta. He's also an MP for Tiwa. So we have this office for one for my secretary, the other one for his secretary, and this is the common office for visitors.
What is left is the staffing of the offices. I know that the MPs will have one secretary and one research assistant. So ministers and their deputies will have to share offices, while members of parliament will have an office to themselves. The structural engineers have certified it, and then they have very competent international architects working on it with a very, again, renowned construction firm working on it. So as to the integrity of the building in terms of structure, I don't think that there is any doubt whatsoever that it's of sound integrity. We are hoping, in terms of the auditorium, in terms of the documentation center, yes, members of the press can access those and use. In fact, we are trying to ensure that the press corps has access to some of the facilities in the new building.
There's information in town that the top floor, which will house the leadership of parliament, is quite luxury. I mean, there's talk of even a bedroom, a washroom and all that. Is that really the case?
I don't know about bedroom. I don't know about bedroom, but I know it's a bigger office than you're occupying now. And the idea is that, if you take a walk through the leaders, any of the, whether it's Honorable Osei Asare's or Honorable Bagman's office at the moment, you would find that there are a lot of people there doing all sorts of things.
The uncertainty over the quality of palm oil in the Ghanaian market threatens the availability of certain popular meals on the menus in eateries across the country. Ama Kujo visited some joints to find out how the alert over the adulteration of palm oil could affect what's cooking.
They're a staple on almost all the menus of local eateries, served any time of day. I'm referring to food made with palm oil, red, okra stew, kontonmire and garden egg stew, all marked by the distinct color, taste and flavor of palm oil. But their very existence on menus has been threatened by the FDA alert on a key ingredient, palm oil. There are suggestions to either substitute vegetable oil for palm or stay away from any food prepared with palm oil. But that is unthinkable for some consumers. Others are not bothered though.
To me, I can, but others, I don't think it can be possible because people have been using it day in, day out.
I'm not a fan of palm oil. Why? I like the homemade one. I mean, the one you prepare it at home. Normally the one you take it from the soup.
Beans is my best food I eat. I love to eat beans. Beans is the protein food, so I like it than any food. So but I will think of it.
You can use the other one too. The palm kernel to also eat beans. Yeah, so I don't think it should be an issue.
Not all of us can stop using it.
Those who may be hardest hit in this chain of events are operators of eateries, whose clients look forward to the palm oil meal times, and for whom substituting palm oil is a height of disrespect to their palates.
We now have to prepare kontomire stew with palm and another with vegetables so we can satisfy our customers. I use palm oil to prepare kontomire stew, but now some people are scared to eat kontomire stew. I plead with the palm oil traders to stop adding dyes to the palm oil so we do not lose our customers. Using vegetable oil to prepare kontomire stew will cause problems for us, since it won't taste the same as one with palm oil. It's the same with okra stew. Even if you prepare okra stew at home with palm oil, it tastes better than one with vegetable oil. Already we use vegetable oil here because our clients prefer that to the palm oil. Our only problem will be the preparation of okra stew.
So to eat or not to eat, would you consider eating okra stew made with vegetable oil?
We're taking a break at this point. When we come back, we have more news coming. Stay tuned.
The party office today is this. There was a steering committee called by the acting chairman of the party, Mr. Freddie Blake. The meeting was supposed to commence at 10 a.m. in the morning. Usually in the morning when meetings like this are supposed to come off, you would find that executives who are supposed to attend these meetings arrive, prepare, and then go into the meeting. The General Secretary, Mr. Kwabena Japong, came in the morning and then had some discussions with Mr. Blake and other executives to the effect that he had been served an injunction. An interlocutory injunction purporting to bar them or hold them from holding or sitting for the meeting. Our party is a party of lawyers. So they sat down, discussed, looked into the purported injunction, and then took a decision as to whether or not the injunction was binding on them and as to whether or not they could hold their meeting. That's another issue. Beyond that, the General Secretary recused himself because he had been served, he did not want to take part in the meeting. But I think word went round in the morning that Mr. Kwabena Japong was going to serve the party with an injunction and further, hold the party ransom pending the whole issue about the suspension of the national chairman. I think this angered some party folk, and therefore there were some number of people who had trooped to the party office to check whether this was the case. And really, I think some people came and saw that, there was a meeting, and as to whether the meeting was going to come on or not, I believe those who were downstairs could not tell. I think out of anger, and Israel, our party is at a crossroads. There's a lot of tension within the party. Our country is at a crossroads as well. Our economy is in shambles. There are a lot of things going wrong in our country, and people are looking for hope. People are looking for the opposition to be able to pull itself together, iron out some of our differences, and be able to prosecute a campaign that can give them a better, government. And therefore, there's anxiety. So out of what was, going on at party headquarters, I think an angry party supporter threw a stone that hit the back screen of Mr. Ejapong's Land Cruiser.
All right, Mr. Kujoto, were you at this meeting?
I was at the party head office, but I'm not a member of the steering committee, so I was not in the meeting.
Right.
I was.
My understanding is that the party is taking a decision on the damage that was caused to the vehicle.
Yes. So I'm narrating what happened. So when Mr. Japong, when the thing occurred, Mr. Japong went back upstairs to alert the meeting that this is what had happened downstairs. So they followed him. Some of them followed him downstairs to ascertain the damage. It was a crack on the driver's side, a thin crack on the driver's side of the vehicle. members of the committee thought that it was wise for the party to take the cost since it had occurred here. So there was some interaction, and then he sat in the vehicle and then left the party office. So that is what, transpired. Subsequently, we've seen on social media some other photographs seeking to purport that there was a brawl and he was pelted with stones, and the entire back screen of the vehicle has been pulled down. That is not the state in which the vehicle was as at the time the vehicle left the party head office.
Mr. Kujeto, there are also accounts suggesting that the invisible forces, the party's private security, are the ones behind this attack on Mr. Kwabena Agyapong.
Well, this is something that the party leadership will institute an investigation into. We would look into it and then come out with who is responsible for throwing the stone.
Yeah,
again, that it is the invisible forces who threw a stone at the General Secretary.
These invisible forces have come up time and again because they're supposed to be, guarding the place and involved in all sorts of violence. At what point do you intend, or does the party intend to rein them in?
Israel, I think we are painting a different picture of what the invisible forces do at the party headquarters. I'm not defending anything. We are not a party of violence. We don't support any form of violence in any way. But I think that the circumstances that are which certain things have occurred in the last 18 months are something that we can discuss. I think that the invisible forces are mainly security people who guard the party installation. People have attacked the party installation on several occasions. Another example is what happened on Friday, where a mob in 2 buses entered the party office and wanting to stop a national executive committee meeting.
All right.
You get it. So it is not that the invisible forces are here. What I understand by what they do is to protect the party headquarters. I don't think that they sit here to destroy party property or harm any party officer.
All right, thank you very much, Perry Okujeto. Perry Okujeto is the Deputy Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, and Felix Akoyam is still here with me in the studio. Did the party executives have anything to say after all that had happened?
I mean, they were tight-lipped about all that happened there. All the information we picked up came through confidential sources who were not prepared to go on record.
All right. Thank you very much, Felix Akoyam. And Felix Akoyam was at the MPP party headquarters earlier today and witnessed the confusion or the chaos involving Mr. Kwabena Agyapong, the Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. In other news, the Sunyani Traditional Council is on a coalition course with the Bulanhafu Regional Chairman of the opposition New Patriotic Party. The traditional rulers are unhappy with the politicians' response to the Sunyani Hine's promise to help ensure a resounding victory for the NDC and President Mahama in next year's general elections. They say the MPP executive's response to the chief was rude. Right, staying with politics, but on the other side, there is intense campaigning in the Ningo Pram constituency ahead of the National Democratic Congress parliamentary primaries on November 7. The 2 main aspirants are presidential staffer Sam George and the incumbent MP E.T. Mensah. In our NDC primary diary today, Kwacha Frenuama of our political desk looks at a constituency that has been an NDC stronghold for more than 2 decades.
The Ningo Pram constituency comprises of 2 traditional areas, Ningo and Pram. Since its creation in 1992, no other political party aside the National Democratic Congress has managed to win parliamentary elections in this area. The man many call Pram Mugabe, E.T. Mensah, has held a seat since 1996 when he defeated the incumbent Stanley Cabo. The decision of the vetting committee made sure the contest to elect a new parliamentary candidate for the 2016 elections was a 2-horse race. An aspirant, Michael Kwete, who many saw as the most credible challenger to E.T. Mensah, was disqualified. The race is now between veteran lawmaker E.T. Mensah and presidential staffer Sam George. It is certainly an intriguing contest. Even constituency executives have sown divided allegiance split between both candidates. But in my interaction with many of the party members in this area, one thing was clear: they want change.
Honorable E.T. Mensah has to step down for someone to come in now, because one person cannot impose himself in a constituency for almost 16 getting to 20 years.
We all knew that come what may, this time around he was going to step down that's in favor of the will of the people, because definitely the people said this time around enough is enough.
Since the party officially opened nominations weeks ago, E.T. Mensah and Sam George have been engaged in heated war of words aimed at discrediting each other. Sam George fired a fair shot.
It is a game thing that our elders say that when you put water in a bottle for too long, it begins to smell. And so the bottom line is that he has been here for a while. We're grateful. There's no doubt about that. That is without question. We're grateful for his contribution. In 2016, Honorable E.T. Mensah will have to leave the seat.
The presidential staffer adds that development in the area has stalled under the incumbent MP.
When you look at the potential in the constituency and you look at the lack of tapping into that potential, you can only weep for the constituency.
In a sharp rebuttal, the 69-year-old lawmaker, among others, questioned whether Sam George is indeed a presidential staffer. Recently, E.T. Mensah accused Sam George of being solely responsible for his dwindling electoral fortunes. According to E.T. Mensah, his opponent embarked on a campaign of lies prior to the creation of a new district in the area before the 2012 elections.
Went and lied to the traditional leaders in Ningo that President Mills chose Ningo as capital, and I, E.T. Mensah, moved to change it to Pram Pram, and they believed it. So they used that against me, and there was a campaign led by the traditional leaders that they should not vote for me because I have stolen the capital from Ningo.
But how confident is E.T. Mensah of victory, considering the party's electoral college has now been expanded?
It's nothing. He will be the last. He will be the last. He only plays his politics on radio.
Ningo Pram Pram is one of the hottest political hotspots as far as the NDC parliamentary primary is concerned. And with just 11 days to go before the polls, it appears the battle lines are now firmly drawn, pitching the veteran against the newcomer. For Joy News NDC Primary Diaries, I am Kwachi Afreniama.
Now return to our earlier story on the Sunyani Traditional Council being on a coalition course with the Brahafo regional chairman of the opposition New Patriotic Party. The traditional rulers are unhappy with the politicians' response to the Sunyani Hine's promise to help ensure a resounding victory for the NDC and President Mahama in next year's general elections. They say the NPP executive's response to the chief was rude. Regional correspondent Precious Semevo has been following this story and joins me on the line. Good evening to you, Precious. Please give us the background to the story.
Well, Israel, it had to do with when the President John Dramani Mahama paid a visit to the Chief's Palace, Nana Abusuma Sonkrawi, the second last week. And as part of our discussions, the Chief promised the President that the region, that is the Brahafo region, will be giving the President 70 to 80% vote in the general elections next year. And that is what received massive reactions from lots of people, and the New Patriotic Party in the Brahafo region also came in, and they made lots of comments that the Traditional Council deems derogatory, necessitating their reaction at a press briefing today.
Now, what exactly is it that the regional chairman is said to have said that the Sunyani Traditional Council finds derogatory?
Well, as part of the things that the regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party, lawyer Asuma Cheme, said, he said that the chief, that is the paramount chief, had stood.
We've just lost Precious briefly on the line, but I'm sure he's going to join us in a bit.
Competence or otherwise of the Mahama administration now.
All right, Precious, we lost you. Precious, we lost you briefly. Can you just repeat what is it that the MPP regional chair said?
Yes, the MPP regional chair, lawyer Asuma Cheme, now he said in their press release that the paramount chief of Sunyani had stood to his lowest level by calling on the residents of the region to overwhelmingly endorse the presidency of John Dramani Mahama. And also, it will not take the Omanhene to enlighten the citizens of Sunyani on the competence or the otherwise of the Mahama administration. And he also talked about the jurisdiction of the Omanhene of Sunyani, saying that that is even subject to so many questions, and for that matter, his power or authority is defined and limited. Now, these are among other things that the NPP regional chairman has said at his press conference, and that appears not to have gone down well with the traditional council.
And what is the traditional council saying they're going to do to him if he refuses to appear before them?
Well, even before that, they are calling on the Council of Elders of the NPP in the region to compel the executive to offer what they call an unqualified apology to the Omanhene as well as the traditional council with immediate effect. And they're also inviting the regional executives and the Council of Elders of the party to the Chief's Palace by Friday so that they can sit down, and then for the party chairman to tell them, among other things, the powers of his jurisdiction that he is talking about that is limited. These are some of the issues that they want to talk about. But the chief who addressed the press today said that I'm referring to Obuama Nana Bofutia 1.7 the second. He is the Kuntinhini of Asunyani traditional area. He said they hope they know and they believe that NPP will be making an appearance at the Chief's Palace. But if they don't, they will know how to advise themselves.
All right, thank you very much, Precious Seme, for joining us from the Brunhafo region. You're watching Joy News Prime. Still to come, power barges from Turkey first promised in April this year finally set sail en route to Ghana. All things being equal, they should be in Ghana in the next 2 weeks. Straight up, we have business news with Abigail Aduma-Kwenchi. Please stay tuned. A time now for business, and Abigail Aduma-Kwenchi is here. Good evening to you, Abigail.
Good evening, Israel.
Yes, please, you have the floor.
Thank you for giving me the floor today. So I'll give my viewers the details in business. We start with something on the Association of Ghana Industries, and they are emphasizing the need to educate businesses in the country to enter into partnerships and joint ventures. Chief Executive of AGI said Chuma Kwabwa says partnerships add value and would be helpful in helping businesses in the country across international borders.
See the private sector as a very important aspect of our development, and as was presented right from the onset, and the chairman even indicated that if you look at the independence of Ghana, the fight, those behind the fight for independence.
All right, time now for business, and Abigail Aduma-Kwenchi is here. Good evening to you, Abigail.
Good evening, Israel.
Yes, please, you have the floor.
Thank you for giving me the floor today. So I'll give my viewers the details in business. We start with something on the Association of Ghana Industries, and they are emphasizing the need to educate businesses in the country to enter into partnerships and joint ventures. Chief Executive of AGI said Chuma Kwabwa says partnerships add value and would be helpful in helping businesses in the country across international borders.
See the private sector as a very important aspect of our development, and as was presented right from the onset, and the chairman even indicated that if you look at the independence of Ghana, the fight, those behind the fight for independence, the whole fight was funded by the private sector. So private sector has always been very key in our development process. The question is, have we grown the way we expected? We had lots of private sector businesses that one would expect that today they would have become big multinationals with branches all over Africa, branches all over the world. Are we experiencing that? I think the answer is no, because we have not grown the way we should. Is it because we have not taken advantage of the opportunities that have been open to us? Is it because we have not managed our businesses properly? We think that individual companies sometimes have very small capital and therefore cannot do the kind of business that would enable them to enjoy economies of scale. So partnerships and joint ventures are very important. That is not happening very well in the private sector. So that's one issue that we have to look at.
entrepreneur is asking the private sector to stop complaining about difficult economic situations and step up efforts to grow their businesses. Senior partner of AB and David Ofosu-Dottir, says this is the only way Ghana's private sector can break through local barriers and succeed on the international market. Speaking at an AGI Public Forum on Business Competitiveness, Ms. Ofosu-Dottir says local enterprises can do better if they stop relying on governmental support.
Businesses who have scaled up today in Ghana, and I mentioned a few, I mentioned Casapreco as an example, being present in Nigeria. The businesses who have scaled up and managed to succeed, did so in the midst of the challenges that they faced. And once you are able to take that action, you can then galvanize support through other members of, of the sector to which you belong, and see how best you can influence government policy. Because I also advocated that the private sector should lobby. What I am not in support of is for the private sector simply to fold its arms and say, we are waiting for government, we are waiting for government. That's what is happening. That's the change that I'm calling for. If we do not ensure that indigenous enterprises will overcome the challenges that they face and they keep waiting for government, what will happen is that because of the trend of globalization, foreign enterprises who are already competitive in their jurisdictions will enter the country, and they are already entering the country, and they will outcompete, for want of a better word, local enterprises. So I'm asking local enterprises not to be pointing blame, but to begin to take action to be able to scale up and grow their own enterprises so that they can compete with any enterprise that comes from outside. We cannot stop the trend of globalization, whether you like it or not, but we can compete.
Well, too late is one thing, but late is clearly yes, late. Because power barges, in essence, are quite expensive. Power barges are for emergency power. When you have a break in power and you need to bridge, okay, the power supply so that you get to a point where you can now generate the power that you need, then you go in for an expensive, short-term solution like a barge. And I remember 3 years ago when the discussion started about getting a barge, it was because we were anticipating that without emergency power like what the barges can give us, our industries will grind to a halt, the economy is going to tank, and so many things are going to go wrong. Truth is, all that has happened. And we didn't get a barge. You should have a barge in a matter of months, not years. We have gone through 3 years of extreme crisis. The economy basically is down. And over the 3-year period, we should now be working towards the permanent solutions, which I know is being done, at least partly. Unfortunately, the confidence level in those areas too is not too high, especially when it comes to our ability to ensure a consistent flow of fuel, that is gas and light crude and other things. So a power barge at this time, one, adds to capacity, it adds extreme expense to the energy mix, and indeed, we are not in an emergency. We still have a power crisis, we need the power. But what we need to do is to make sure that we can fuel the present installed capacity. As it is right now, we have capacity that we are not using. So how do we bring in the expensive barges, okay, when we have not guaranteed fuel supply, and when we are having problems with collecting the tariffs today, which are lower than the tariffs that the barges are going to impose on the energy mix. So the point I'm making is that the time for barges is when you need an emergency solution. We have gone through the worst already, and we shouldn't pay the extra cost for emergency measures when really we are not in an emergency period.
Mr. Bentel, you do acknowledge that we still have a deficit in power supply. So clearly, the power barges coming in are coming in to help.
Yes, and I don't want anybody to say I am saying we shouldn't bring new electricity or we shouldn't bring power to Ghana. But the deficit in our electricity production is not because of a deficit in installed capacity. We don't have a deficit in terms of the capacity we have now to produce electricity. Our peak demand is lower than our installed capacity. The deficit is due to our inability to finance the purchase of fuel. Okay, power barges will also use fuel. Power barges do not solve the problem of our inability to finance the purchase of consistent supply of fuel. Okay, so you have a situation where the solution is not dealing with the problem. And my worry is that if you are going to bring a very expensive solution, which you will pay for whether you use or not, then you better be sure it's going to solve the problem. So look, bring the badges, because as we speak right now, Dumsor is going on and we need, extra power. But the truth of the matter is that that is not going to solve the problem. So I'm worried about what that will do to increase bills and, dumping more expenditure and complexity into the energy sector.
But you acknowledge that we can't send the power badges back because we've got $100 million locked in already.
Well, you see, that's another problem. And my issue with this whole thing is that I was one of the people who called for the badges. And that's been more than 2 years now. My issue is that if the planners were doing the planning and doing it well, then they could have told when we needed the badges and when we don't need them anymore. We paid that 100 million plus from GNPC less than 6 months ago. Okay, so if 6 months ago, knowing that we were past the emergency period, why would you pay the money? Okay, so it all comes down to really bad management in the energy sector, which is why we are in the problem we are in. And it seems to be going on. Looking forward, I am not too optimistic about, the turnout, because again, the big problem we have has not been solved, but we are now increasing complexity. Of course, we've paid for the badges, so maybe they may have to come. But the point is, why did we pay for them 6 months ago when we knew we were beyond the emergency period? We shouldn't have paid for the badges.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Bento. And Kofi Bento is with policy think tank E-Money Ghana. Watching Joy News Prime, time now for a look at our top stories. There was more chaos at the headquarters of the New Patriotic Party as the General Secretary was heckled and his vehicle damaged. The party has condemned the attack and offered to pay for the repair of his vehicle, but that's just half of the party's woes. The emergency power barge with the capacity to generate 225 megawatts of electricity is en route to Ghana from Turkey to help address Ghana's energy crisis. But experts are saying the intervention is coming too late in the day. Parliamentarians have returned from recess to take up new offices in their iconic Job 600 building. In business, former Finance Minister Yasafu Manfo has called for strict enforcement of fiscal laws to check persistent overruns of various government budgets. And the current FDA alert over palm oil has implications for some popular Ghanaian dishes. Now on to the rest of our story. The Public Utility Workers Union has criticized the Ghana Water Company for committing itself to an agreement to transform seawater into potable water for supply to the Teshi suburb in Accra and its environs. According to the union, the agreement could eventually bring the water company to its knees. It is therefore asking President John Mahama to have the agreement reviewed. Michael Nyantichi is Deputy General Secretary of the Public Utility Workers Union.
Currently, we have realized that the agreement is totally skewed in the interest of BEFISA as against Ghana Water Company. And some of the key terms of the agreement are just not acceptable. One, you realize that the private company, which BEFISA is using electricity for its operations. And Ghana Water Company has to pay for the cost of the electricity the private sector man is using. So averagely every month, Ghana Water pays about 1.4 million for electricity alone. Then in addition, you realize that the agreement also stipulates that the water BEFISA is producing is sold to Ghana Water at the cost of the CD equivalent of $1.50. And Ghana Water, by the PURC tariff arrangement in place now, can sell the water only at the CD equivalent of 59 cents. So you can imagine the huge deficit that occurs per meter cube of water that is. This agreement should be reviewed, else Ghana Water stands in a danger. And if Ghana Water should crumble, we can imagine what will happen to the whole country.
What would you do if nothing comes out of this quest?
Well, we have formally as a union written to His Excellency the President, drawing his attention to these challenges. And we are waiting, hoping that in the next few months, maybe there will be a response. But if there is no response, and we see also that the progress on the other project is accelerating, then the workers...
Right, time for entertainment. Miss G is here. Good evening to you, Miss G.
Good evening, Israel. How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
Very well, thank you.
All right. What's coming up in entertainment?
A lot of things coming up, you know, lots of gossip actually. But let's start up with Asamoah Gyan. You know, Asamoah Gyan actually has a case with Ekomaika.
He was accused of rape.
Yes, you know, that case where he was accused of rape. It happened that the lady who accused him, Sarah Kwabla, was actually girlfriend to musician Ekomaika, and Ekomaika's house was inspected, and they found weed there. So, of course, he's in the custody of the police. And now they appeared before court yesterday. What happened was that when they went to court, the allegations that his PR, who is called Samuel, had leveled against him, that he sent him threatening messages. That is the guy with the reporter called Anthony Osafo was thrown out of court because they said that when he was asked to bring that evidence, he just brought a print out like this. No number, nothing to solidify that this Anthony Osafo guy actually had said anything or sent him.
So this Antonio Safo guy is supposed to be who's
the
PR?
Journalist. No, Sammy is the PR for Asamoah Gyan. He was dealing with Antonio Safo, who he said sends them threatening messages that if they don't give him money, he's going to put the video out.
That was a case of blackmail, right?
Exactly. So
they've thrown out the case of blackmail.
They've thrown out that case of blackmail. But the new thing for Asamoah Gyan, which is quite sad, is that the CID who is handling his case has also been fired. Yes, the CID has been fired because the CID, apparently somewhere last week, together with some of his colleagues, were indicted when they were sent to go check on some Indian man who was in possession of some huge money. They actually, yes, took some...
Because that case actually also came up, I think it's with the airport police.
Yes, the detective actually took some of the money, so he's also been fired. So Asamoah Gyan has a new detective handling his case now, and so that detective will be the one handling or taking Ekomaika to court. So that's a new development when it comes to Ekomaika and then Asamoah Gyan.
Okay. Yeah. So then we also move on to Tiny.
Yes, let's talk about Tiny. Tiny says he's shooting a movie in Kumasi. He says it's a Kumasi movie, so we are thinking that it's a Kumahood movie. But we saw in this video a Tiny who looked drunk. Some people are thinking that no, this guy might have been drunk and he's just trying to cover up his goof.
I'm drunk.
Okay, so I'm not getting the movie bit.
Exactly.
Because this definitely wasn't shot, you know, with a movie camera. This looks more like a mobile phone video.
Exactly. So that's why people are saying that maybe he actually was drunk, but to cover up his shame, he decided to say, okay, I'm shooting a movie somewhere in Kumasi. So we're waiting to see what movie this will be and what kind of characters we'll find in this movie.
Okay. Right, time now for sports, and Kwame Juma Jamang is here, and definitely Kanishi is in the news. Oh no, Kenichi
at the fourth attempt.
What's the guy's name?
Kenichi Hasuyachi.
Okay, I'm not gonna try to mention his pronounce his name anytime soon.
4 chances, you still botched it.
Kanishi?
Or whatever.
That's so easy.
Well, we'll stay with the new Haas coach, Kenichi Hasuyachi, who is confident of leading the club to glory now. He made these pronouncements after he met the board of the club.
feel very excited, and I know that a lot of hard work is coming, and let my work speak for itself. We had a meeting, yes, but all the things that we talk about, we show on the pitch. I have nothing to say about that right at this moment.
So what do you bring on board? I
understand, and as I said, all the things that you're asking right now will be answered on the pitch.
How well do you know House of Folk?
I will meet them tomorrow, the players. You know, and the whole country is watching us, and I'll make sure whole country will be happy on the pitch.
You've been tasked to win the league. Is that big for you? I mean, being your first time here?
That's the expectation, and we will achieve.
There was a new Heart of Oak coach there, Kenichi Hatsuyachi. We stay on the local scene, but this time a focus on the Premier League board. Welbeck Abrapia is going to be leaving the scene after 10 years in charge, and he's backing his deputy Ashford Teteoku for the chairmanship position.
If they miss that man, Ashford Teteoku, I can see disaster. I'm being honest with you. There are a lot of people who have over the years been lobbying to take over from Abrapia. But I can tell you this Ashford Teteoku man is worth working with. And I can tell you, over the past 1 year or so, I have intentionally played a role of playing the second fiddle to meetings and other things. I asked him, go ahead and handle this meeting. I'm not coming, handle it. And I sit back and hear comments from members of the board, and he can do it. Very intelligent, and I can tell you he can do it. He will change a whole lot of things.
Let's do some Russia 2018 business now. And Team Ghana will be playing Comoros on November the 13th and 17th for a place in Russia 2018. That will be the first stage of the qualifiers, and Team Ghana, the Black Stars, are going to be going into this game without the services of Juventus midfielder Kojo Asamoah. Kojo Asamoah has been out with an injury that has seen him play very few minutes for Juventus this season. And talk over that game, Zimbabwean match official Norman Materera has been appointed to officiate the first leg that will be played on November the 13th. If we go past that threat from Comoros, then we go into the group stages proper for a place in Russia 2018. Let's move on and do some other stories in the world of sports, and to some stories on the FIFA presidency. We have 8 individuals who are going to be contesting for the job, and one gentleman who has been talking up his chances of landing the top job at
Right, that's it for the bulletin. Before we go, a quick run through our top stories. More chaos at PP headquarters as the General Secretary is heckled and his vehicle damaged. The party has condemned the attack and offered to repair or pay for the repair of the damaged vehicle. The emergency power barge with the capacity to generate 225 megawatts is en route to Ghana from Turkey to help address Ghana's energy crisis. But experts say the intervention is coming too late in the day. Parliamentarians have returned from recess to take up new offices in the iconic Job 600 building. And that's it for the bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Israel Lai, and on behalf of the team, I wish you all a good night.